the small one who outsmarted the illuminated order of Torenza, was a world of light that never slept. Tall towers floated above the ground, held in the air by shining energy rings. The towers glowed day and night, painting the sky in soft white and gold. From above, the city looked calm and perfect. From below, it felt heavy and silent. Far under the floating towers, there were streets that never saw true light. These places were narrow and cold. Old metal paths crossed each other like broken bones. Power cables hung low, sparking now and then. This was where the small people lived. This was where Iran lived. Iran was human. Humans were rare on Torenza and often ignored. They were smaller than most beings of the Order and had no place in the great plans of the city. Iran worked as a flow runner, someone who checked energy lines and fixed small breaks before they caused larger problems. It was quiet work, and that suited Iran well. Each day, Iran walked the same paths, carrying a simple tool pack and a light scanner. The scanner was old, scratched, and slow, but it still worked. Iran had fixed it many times using spare parts found in the scrapyards. People laughed at the scanner, but Iran trusted it. Above all this ruled the illuminated order of Torenza. They believed light was truth and control was peace. Their elders spoke from the highest towers, their voices carried through the air by hidden speakers. They said the city was safe because of them. Most people believed this. Some were afraid not to. Iran never listened to the speeches. Instead, Iran listened to the city itself. The hum of the energy lines, the rhythm of the power flow, the small changes that others could not hear. Over time, Iran learned that Torenza spoke in patterns, and one night, those patterns changed. It began as a faint echo in the energy stream, a pulse that did not belong. Iran felt it through the scanner while checking a deep line near the old transit tunnels. The scanner flickered, then steadied. The reading made no sense. Iran stopped walking. The energy was flowing in reverse, just for a moment. That was impossible. The Order's systems were said to be perfect. They allowed no waste, no error, no return. Iran checked again. The pulse came back, stronger this time. It carried data, but the scanner could not read it fully. The signal seemed buried, hidden inside normal power flow. Iran felt a slow tightening in the chest. Curiosity mixed with fear. No one else was nearby. The tunnel lights flickered softly. Iran knelt and opened the access panel, exposing the glowing line beneath. The light was warm, almost alive. Using a small wire tap, Iran connected the scanner directly. The screen filled with symbols and broken lines. Most were unreadable. But one thing was clear. This signal was old, older than the Order. Iran disconnected quickly and closed the panel. The tunnel felt quieter than before, as if it were holding its breath. Iran stood still for a long moment, listening. Footsteps echoed in the distance. Iran turned off the scanner and moved back into the shadows. 2 Order watchers passed by, their white armor glowing softly. Their faces were hidden behind smooth masks. They did not look down. They never did. When the footsteps faded, Iran let out a slow breath. That night, sleep did not come easily. The small room where Iran lived was built into an old support wall. The light outside never fully dimmed, but the walls blocked most of it. Iran lay on the narrow bed, thinking of the signal. If the Order did not create it, who did? And why hide it inside the heart of the city? By morning, Iran made a choice. Instead of reporting the anomaly, Iran adjusted the work route, a small change, easy to miss. The scanner was tuned to listen more closely now. Every step through the lower districts revealed more faint echoes. The signal was not in one place. It was everywhere, spread thin, like a whisper. Days passed. Erin mapped the pulses in secret, storing the data in a private memory chip. The pattern slowly took shape. The signal moved toward the center of Torenza, toward the great towers. The closer Erin got, the stronger it became. One evening, while resting near a broken lift shaft, someone spoke. "You are listening where you should not." Erin froze. A figure stepped out from behind a support beam. The figure was tall, wrapped in a dark coat that absorbed the light around it. The face was visible, marked with age and sharp eyes. "My name is Val," the figure said. "I once served the Order." Erin said nothing. Val smiled slightly. "You found it, did you not? The old Echo Iron Titan grip on the tool pack. Who are you?" "Someone who learned the truth too late," Val replied. "But maybe not too late for you," Vale explained in short, careful words. Long ago, before the Order ruled alone, Torenza was guided by shared systems. Knowledge flowed freely. But when the Order rose, they sealed something away. They buried it in the energy grid and called it Lost. "Why?" Vale asked. "Because it could see them." Erin felt a chill. "See them how? See the lies?" Vale said. Before Erin could ask more, a low tone echoed through the city. The light above shifted color, turning sharp and bright. "Lockdown announcement," Vale whispered. They felt the disturbance. Order drones began to move overhead, scanning streets and tunnels. Vale stepped back into the shadows. "You are small," Vale said softly. "That is why they missed you. Do not let them see you now." Vale vanished. Erin ran. The tunnels twisted and dropped deeper, into places even the Order avoided. The scanner vibrated in the pack, reacting to the rising energy. The signal surged, loud and clear now, as if it knew it had been found. Erin reached an old junction chamber and sealed the door behind. The room was dark and silent. Only the scanner glowed. On the screen, new data appeared. Clear words, simple and sharp. "Observer active. Above the city, in the highest tower, the elders of the Illuminated Order paused their ritual. One of them turned toward a hidden display. Something small had moved, and the light had noticed." Erin stared at the scanner, heart pounding. Whatever had been awakened was watching back, and for the first time in Torenza, the Order was not alone. The city of Torenza changed with every hour. Above, the floating towers pulsed with energy, their lights shifting from soft gold to sharp white. Drones patrolled the streets and air. Sirens echoed faintly in the lower districts. It was no longer the calm city that Erin had known. It was awake and alert. Erin stayed in the old junction chamber, listening to the hum of the energy lines. The scanner displayed the hidden pulse again, moving closer to the towers. The signal was different now, faster, sharper, almost impatient. It was like the city itself was whispering, warning, guiding. The sound of footsteps broke the silence. Erin ducked into a side tunnel. Two watchers passed, their armor shining in the dim light. They were careful, alert. Their eyes, hidden behind smooth masks, seemed to see everything. Erin held the breath steady and waited until they moved on. Vale appeared again, stepping out from the shadows like a ghost. Erin did not ask where they came from. There was no time. "They have started searching deeper," Vale said. "The Order knows someone is moving against them. They will not stop. But neither will you if you are clever." Erin shook the head. I don't understand what this signal is. What is it trying to say? It is the city, Vale said. It remembers the past. It can show truth if you know how to read it. The Order destroyed much, but they could not destroy this. It hid itself in the energy lines, waiting for someone small enough to notice. Irin swallowed. How can I read it? Vale handed a small device, older than anything Irin had seen. It was simple, but it worked in ways the modern scanners could not. This device could listen to the hidden pulses, decode their meaning, show patterns invisible to the ordinary eye. But using it is dangerous, Vale warned. The Order will feel every movement. They watch everything. One wrong step, and it is over. Irin nodded. There was no turning back. The plan was simple. Move quietly, follow the pulse, understand it, find its source. The source was deep inside the central tower, the heart of the Order's power. No one had entered there from the lower districts and returned. Days passed. Irin moved through abandoned maintenance tunnels, crossed broken streets, climbed old scaffolds. The scanner on the new device hummed constantly, showing new data in tiny flashes of light. The hidden pulse led the way stronger with each step. The city above was tense. Drones circled endlessly. Lights brightened and dimmed. Alarms occasionally rang. The Order sent enforcers down occasionally to sweep the lower districts. They found nothing. A small human was easy to miss. Orcs was one of the enforcers. Tall, quiet, always observing. He felt something wrong with the orders from above, but did not understand why. Every sweep felt empty. Every chase felt pointless. Something small was moving under their feet. Something clever. One night, Irene reached a control station abandoned decades ago. Rust and broken screens covered most of it. Here, the hidden pulse was strongest. The walls themselves seemed to vibrate with it. Irin set up the device, listening carefully, following the flow. It spoke of old plans, old systems, secrets buried long ago. Irin understood a little, enough to know that the beacon core was not perfect. It had weaknesses, cracks that only someone small, unnoticed, could find. Irin realized that the Order's power depended on one thing: control over information. Change the information, and the power shifts. Vale appeared quietly behind Irin. "You can do it," they whispered. "But you must be careful. One mistake and the entire city will fall on you." Irin nodded, eyes fixed on the flowing light patterns. The first small change was made. A single bit of data was rerouted. No alarms sounded. Nothing moved, but inside, the hidden pulse danced brighter, as if approving. Meanwhile, Orcs felt a stir of doubt. Orders from the elders no longer made sense. A shift in the core, a tiny anomaly, and everything felt off. The enforcers' loyalty wavered, even if they did not know why. The small one was doing something. The following days became a dance of shadows and light. Irin moved quietly, making tiny adjustments in the energy lines, learning, testing. Each small success brought new confidence. The hidden pulse grew stronger, clearer. It whispered secrets the Order had long tried to erase. At the same time, Vale warned that the Order was beginning to suspect someone had found the pulse. They would move more aggressively. Drones increased, patrols became longer, and the lights above the city flickered in warning. But still, no one saw Irin. Then came the day the scanner pulsed urgently. The beacon core reacted. The lights in the central tower shifted sharply. Alarms rang briefly, then fell silent. Something had changed. Iren froze, heart pounding. The small movement had reached the very heart of the Order's power. But with the pulse came a warning. The Order had begun to trace anomalies. It would only be a matter of time before they discovered the source. Iren had to move faster, act smarter, and think smaller. The city felt alive in a new way. The energy lines hummed, the towers glowed differently. The drones moved like chess pieces, uncertain. The hidden pulse moved in patterns only Iren could follow, and every movement brought Iren closer to the truth, closer to the secret buried beneath Torenza's shining towers. One quiet night, while monitoring the pulse in a hidden chamber, Iren realized the truth. The Order's power was not only in the towers or the light, it was in their belief that no one could touch it. That was the flaw. That was the chance. Iren smiled faintly. The small one could outsmart the giants. Far above, in the central tower, an elder noticed a flicker on the monitoring screens. A small anomaly, a ripple in the otherwise perfect energy flow. Something tiny was moving, unseen, unstoppable. The chase had begun. The city waited, unaware that its fate rested in the hands of someone small, unnoticed, and clever. The hidden pulse guided Iren. The small one and the first move against the Illuminated Order had begun. Iren moved faster now. The hidden pulse led the way, deeper into the heart of Torenza. Every tunnel, every broken street, every abandoned scaffold was mapped in the mind. The city whispered secrets that no one else could hear. It showed the old ways, the lines of energy that had once been free, unclaimed, until the Order rose and locked them away. Vale stayed close, appearing when needed, disappearing when danger approached. Together they understood the pulse more each day. It told stories of old circuits, of hidden channels that bypassed the towers, of pathways that could carry information without being seen. One evening, as Iren adjusted a hidden conduit in the lower transit ring, a new presence made itself known. It was Luma, another human who had survived in the lower districts, hidden for years. Luma's eyes were sharp, scanning every shadow. When Luma spoke, it was in quick, careful words. "You are touching the past, the old systems. The Order cannot allow it. They will erase this, erase all of us if they find out." Iren nodded.
I know, but we can't let them keep lying.
Luma agreed, and together they studied the pulse, tracing it toward the central tower. Every night, the beacon core responded with small flickers of light. Every flicker showed weakness. The Order that seemed perfect had cracks, cracks that only careful observation could find. The small ones could see them. But the Order was no longer blind. Patrols became more frequent, and drones hovered in tighter patterns. Orcs, the enforcer, felt growing unease. Orders came faster, harsher, yet the anomaly persisted. Something small was moving, but it moved with purpose and intelligence. Iren and Luma made careful tests. Tiny pulses of false information were fed into the hidden circuits. Nothing overt, nothing noticeable to the Order, but enough to see reactions in the towers. The flickers became stronger, almost impatient. The system itself seemed to respond, almost like it knew that someone was learning its secrets. Vale warned them constantly. One slip, one wrong move, and the lower districts would face the Order's wrath. They would erase everything that moved without mercy. The pressure built, but Iren felt a strange calm. Smallness could be a weapon. Cleverness could be a shield. Then came the lockdown. The towers pulsed sharply, a warning to all below. The city trembled with the energy surges. Drones swept the lower districts, scanners scanned the air, and alarms rang briefly before fading. The Order was trying to flush out the intruders. Irin stayed hidden, heart pounding. The hidden pulse grew urgent, stronger than ever. It guided the small one, showing paths that bypassed the guards, paths that led toward the heart of the Order's power. Luma assisted in moving supplies and keeping tracks clean. The work was tense, delicate, and dangerous. One night, while adjusting a conduit near an abandoned maintenance hub, Irin realized the truth about the Order's history. They had rewritten records, erased old knowledge, erased old humans from memory. The pulse contained fragments of what had been lost. The city itself was remembering and whispering the truth to someone small enough to notice. Irin understood then that the fight was not one of strength, but of intelligence. The Order depended on obedience, on fear, on belief in their perfection. Tiny moves, careful observations, and understanding the hidden channels could unravel their control. Vale's voice reminded Irin constantly, "The smaller the step, the less they notice. The hidden pulse is your guide. Trust it." Irin trusted it completely. The next day, a test pulse was sent into the beacon core. The light flickered sharply, responding to the small change. Alarms buzzed briefly, then died down. The Order had noticed a disturbance, but could not locate its source. The core had a flaw, and the small ones had found it. Oris began to doubt the orders. The Enforcer felt that the commands made no sense. The towers pulsed and shifted, and nothing aligned with what the Elders said. Something small, intelligent, was moving unseen, and the Order could not react correctly. The lower districts remained tense, but calm. Most people did not understand what was happening. Only Irin, Vale, and Luma knew that the first real cracks in the Order's control were forming. Every careful adjustment, every small test, every pulse sent into the system was a move in a silent game that could topple an empire. As night fell, the three humans huddled in the shadows, listening to the hidden pulse. It spoke louder now, guiding them closer to the source. Every flicker of the beacon core above confirmed that the small one's work was taking effect. The city itself seemed alive, aware, responding to the cleverness of the smallest among its people. Irin understood the stakes. One wrong move, and the Order would find the intruder. One correct move, and the power of the towers could be questioned, challenged, undone. The city waited, the towers hummed, and the pulse whispered. The small one had begun to outsmart the giants. Irin moved with quiet purpose. The hidden pulse in the energy lines led deeper toward the central tower, and every step required careful thought. The city above seemed calm, but the small signals of movement betrayed the Order's growing suspicion. Drones hummed softly in patrols, and guards moved through the lower streets in slow, deliberate steps. Irin was small, unnoticed, and that was the advantage. Vale remained close, watching the movements of the Order. Their voice was low and careful, giving advice in whispers. Luma helped keep tracks clear, moving quietly through shadows to remove traces of their presence. Each person played a part, but it was Irin who understood the pattern. The city itself guided the small one. The first challenge of the day came when the pulse led to an old service hatch near a forgotten part of the lower tunnels. The hatch was rusted, the locking mechanism broken, but sensors above could detect even the tiniest movement. Irin used small hand tools to manipulate the lock, moving slowly and steadily. Every sound was a risk. Once inside, the chamber was dark, narrow, and filled with old cables. The energy lines hummed faintly, carrying the hidden pulse along circuits that no longer served the Order directly. Irin placed the scanner in the center and watched as the pulse spread across the screen. It moved like a river, seeking new paths, responding to subtle manipulations. Val spoke softly. "This is it, the small move. One careful step, and the reaction will begin. Do not hesitate. Do not falter." Irin understood. Instead of attacking the beacon core directly, the plan was to feed it false data. It was subtle, a small rerouting of signals, enough to confuse the order without triggering immediate alarms. The pulse on the scanner shimmered with approval as Iran worked, twisting wires, rerouting flows, creating patterns that only the core could read. Suddenly, a distant hum grew louder. Drones above had shifted their patrols, reacting to small anomalies in the system. Irin froze, watching the scanner. The hidden pulse shifted slightly, warning of incoming observation. Every movement was now critical. Luma whispered from the shadows, "We can delay them for a while, but we cannot hold them forever. You must finish the step." Irin nodded. Fingers moved with care, tracing the lines and adjusting the connections. The false data began to ripple upward, reaching circuits connected to the core itself. It was subtle, almost invisible, but it caused the first hesitation in the Order's systems. Above, Horus noticed a strange irregularity. Commands from the Elders seemed inconsistent, contradictory. The drones paused, recalibrated, and yet the disturbance remained. Doubt began to grow, small but persistent. Something was moving in the city. Something clever. Something unseen. Iron's pulse on the scanner brightened. The false data was accepted by the core, creating small disruptions that would grow over time. The Elders in the tower noticed something was wrong, but could not pinpoint it. Their authority, built on the idea of perfection, began to wobble. Vale remained close, eyes sharp. "You are doing well," they said. "But remember, the moment they notice your presence, it will become dangerous. Move carefully. Disappear when needed." Irin understood. One wrong move now could undo everything. The small steps were the only way to succeed. Each adjustment, each rerouted signal, was a part of a delicate dance that required patience, intelligence, and courage. The work continued late into the night. The hidden pulse guided Irin through ancient circuits long forgotten by the Order, weaving a path that no one else could follow. Every movement was quiet, every action precise. The city itself seemed to respond, opening paths, revealing hidden shortcuts, and whispering secrets. Suddenly, the scanners flickered. The core had reacted to the false data, showing brief flashes of instability. The towers above pulsed irregularly, sending out waves of energy that could be felt even in the lower tunnels. Irin froze, listening. The moment had come. Valley's voice was urgent. "They know something has changed. Do not stay here. Move." Irin packed the scanner, moved quickly through the hidden tunnels, and emerged near an abandoned transport hub. Drones passed overhead, their lights sweeping the streets, but Irin stayed in the shadows. Each step was deliberate, careful. The city itself seemed to help, guiding the small one through narrow paths and forgotten corridors. Luma joined silently, keeping watch as Irin moved. Together they reached a secure spot near the lower access to the tower. The false data had begun its work. Small errors and confusion spread to the core's circuits. The towers flickered, alarms rang briefly, then fell silent. The Order had noticed disturbances, but not the cause. The small one had acted unseen. Horus, watching from above, began to question the orders. The commands no longer made sense. The reactions of the drones were unpredictable. Something clever had moved, and it was not part of the plan. The Enforcer felt unease growing, a doubt that was hard to ignore. The Order's power, assumed perfect, was showing cracks. Irene's heart pounded. The work was far from over, but the first real shift had been achieved. The city itself seemed to hum with a new energy, responding to the clever moves of the smallest human. The pulse guided the way, every flicker of light, every hum of power, showing the next step. Vale watched closely, their eyes sharp. The small one has done what many could not. But remember, this is just the beginning. Every move now must be perfect. Irin nodded. The hidden pulse was stronger than ever, leading closer to the heart of the tower. The first small move had caused disruption, but the real challenge was yet to come. The city waited, the Order remained unaware, and the small one had begun a chain of events that could change everything. The night stretched long. The tunnels, the old circuits, the abandoned paths, all seemed alive, guiding, whispering, supporting the small one. Irin felt the weight of responsibility, but also a strange confidence. Smallness had become an advantage, cleverness, a weapon, patience, the shield. And so, the city of Torenza waited, unknowingly witnessing the first cracks in the perfect towers above, as the small one continued the quiet, careful, and daring work of outsmarting the Illuminated Order. The city of Torenza shivered under the first real tremors of change. The towers above flickered irregularly, sending waves of energy that rippled through the streets and tunnels. Alarms buzzed softly, then died. The Order's systems were reacting to something unseen. Someone small, clever, and hidden had begun to move their world. Irin watched from the shadows, heart racing. The hidden pulse on the scanner was alive, bright, and urgent. It carried information, guidance, and warnings. The city itself seemed to hum with anticipation. Each tiny adjustment Irin made caused responses in the towers, subtle but growing. The first cracks in the Order's perfection were becoming visible. Luma joined silently, eyes scanning the empty streets above. Drones hummed in slow circles, lights sweeping across every corner. The enforcers were confused, their movements hesitant. Orders no longer made sense, and the system they relied on reacted unpredictably. The small one's plan was working. Vale appeared beside Irin, face tight with worry. "The disruptions are spreading," they said.
"Bad day."
"You have done well, but now the Order is reacting faster. One mistake, and it will not just be you. Protect the lines and keep moving. The hidden pulse will guide you." Irin nodded, fingers steady on the scanner. The first phase was complete. Now the false data rippled through the central circuits, reaching other controlled worlds connected to the towers. The Order's communication network staggered. Commands from the Elders failed to reach the enforcers. Confusion spread like wildfire, yet the source remained invisible. Horus, the enforcer, felt the stirrings of doubt grow stronger. Orders made no sense. The core's flickers, the strange movements, the irregularity of the drones, it was all wrong. Horus began to hesitate in executing commands, delaying patrols and recalibrating the systems without a clear reason. Something clever was moving, and Horus was powerless to stop it. Irin followed the hidden pulse deeper into the city. Each tunnel and abandoned street led to new opportunities. Tiny changes in energy flows caused small errors that multiplied quickly. Signals fed false instructions into the towers, creating confusion in patterns the Order had considered perfect. The small one's work was deliberate, cautious, and brilliant. Above, the Elders of the Order noticed the instability. Screens flickered, alarms rang briefly, and the glow of the towers became erratic. They could see something was wrong, but the source eluded them. Their authority, built on belief in perfection, began to crumble. For the first time, they did not have control. Irin sent another pulse into the system, carefully crafted to maximize disruption without detection. The towers responded with subtle surges, drones faltered, and the lower districts remained calm. The people below, unaware of the battle unfolding above and beneath them, went about their lives. Only the smallest human, unnoticed and clever, had set this chain of events into motion. Vale whispered instructions, guiding Iran through the final steps of the first major disruption. Each move was precise, measured, and critical. The hidden pulse illuminated new paths, showing shortcuts and ancient circuits forgotten by the Order. The city itself seemed to conspire with Iran, providing cover and guidance. Luma worked tirelessly, clearing traces of their passage, ensuring no evidence remained for the Order to follow. Every movement was a careful dance of shadows, light, and silence. The tension was high, but the small ones moved with a quiet confidence. The beacon core flickered more visibly now, responding to Iran's manipulations. Systems designed to be perfect were failing in small, controlled ways. The towers above pulsed with irregular patterns, sending waves of uncertainty through the enforcers and citizens alike. Horus felt the pressure of inconsistency, a doubt that could not be ignored. Iron paused to observe the results. The first major disruption had worked. The false data rippled across the networks, causing minor chaos, hesitation, and confusion in the Order's ranks. The elders scrambled to regain control, but the movements of the small one were too subtle, too clever to trace directly. Each adjustment had been a precise strike against their system, unseen and unstoppable. Vale's eyes were sharp. "You have done what many could not," they said. "But the final steps will be the hardest. The system will fight back. The elders will push all their forces, and you must remain unseen. Patience, observation, and cleverness will be your allies." Iran nodded, steadying hands and mind. The hidden pulse was strong, bright, guiding every movement. The small one had begun to unravel the power of the illuminated Order, but there was more work to do. The towers still loomed above, still glowing, still dangerous. The final steps would require courage beyond size and strength. The night stretched long, the city hummed with energy, the towers flickered, and the drones faltered. The lower districts remained untouched, unaware of the forces shaping their world. Iran, Vale, and Luma moved quietly, watching, adjusting, planning the next moves. The small one's cleverness had begun to topple the first pieces of an empire built on fear and belief in perfection. And as the city slept, the pulse whispered on, guiding the smallest human through the hidden circuits, toward the final challenge, toward the heart of the illuminated Order itself. The city of Torenza held its breath. The towers above flickered wildly, casting long, shifting shadows across the streets below. Drones faltered in the sky, scanning patterns broken by subtle changes in the energy lines. The illuminated Order had lost control, though they did not yet understand how. The hidden pulse, the clever manipulations of someone small and unseen, had shaken the foundations of their power. Iran moved cautiously through a narrow maintenance corridor, following the pulse that now guided directly to the heart of the central tower. Every step was deliberate, calculated. The scanner in hand showed irregular patterns in the energy flow, confirming the Order's systems were failing. Each subtle adjustment had a ripple effect, creating confusion and hesitation in the towers above. Vale stayed nearby, eyes sharp, watching the distant drones and the shifting lights in the towers. Luma moved ahead silently, clearing debris and ensuring paths remained hidden. The three of them had become a silent team, moving with the pulse, reading the city as it whispered its secrets. The final stage of their plan required more than just small adjustments. Iran had learned the Order depended on belief in perfection, on control through fear, on obedience. Remove the belief, and the towers could no longer maintain order. The small one had already sown doubt, confusion, and hesitation. Now it was time to push the system further. Irin set up the scanner near a junction beneath the central tower. The pulse was strong here, almost overwhelming. It carried information about old circuits, hidden channels, and unused conduits that could bypass the main control nodes. Feeding false data into these channels would create chaos inside the core, but it required precise timing and perfect execution. Vale warned softly, "This is the hardest part. One mistake, and the Order will discover you. The system will respond with force, but if you succeed, the core will falter, and the towers above will lose their influence." Iron nodded. Fingers moved quickly, carefully, connecting lines, rerouting signals, and feeding the calculated false information. The pulse seemed to respond to the actions, brightening and vibrating in confirmation. The city itself seemed to encourage, guiding the small one through hidden paths and long-forgotten circuits. Above, Aris noticed irregularities in the core. The drones hesitated. Commands from the elders contradicted each other. Some enforcers paused mid-action, unsure of what to do. Oris felt a strange sense of awe and fear. Something unseen, intelligent, and clever was dismantling the power of the Order without physical force. Iron continued the manipulations, each connection precise. The hidden pulse spread further into the network, affecting secondary towers and auxiliary circuits. The false data caused cascading errors, glitches, and brief blackouts. The towers flickered, sending ripples across the city, but no one outside the lower districts could understand the meaning of the change. Suddenly, a warning tone echoed through the corridor. The core had responded more violently than expected. Lights above flickered sharply, drones moved erratically, and a brief surge of energy rattled the old metal corridors. Iron held steady, following the pulse, adjusting lines with care, countering the system's defensive measures. Vala's voice was urgent. "The Order knows something is happening now. You must finish this quickly and disappear. The city's energy lines are your allies, but time is short." Iren's hands worked faster. Each adjustment pushed the core further into instability. The towers above flickered more strongly, sending waves of uncertainty through the enforcers. Oris hesitated again, now fully aware that something extraordinary was unfolding. Doubt and fear replaced confidence, leaving the Order's systems vulnerable. Luma moved to secure the rear, ensuring no patrols would intercept the small ones. The hidden pulse guided every movement, showing shortcuts, revealing old conduits, and whispering the sequence of steps needed to destabilize the core. Every action had to be precise. Every second counted. At last, the final adjustment was made. The false data reached the heart of the beacon core. A brief, intense pulse of energy radiated outward, destabilizing the system. The towers flickered violently, sending waves of light across the city. Drones fell from the sky, enforcers froze, and alarms rang endlessly, but no one could trace the source. The Order's elders realized something impossible had occurred. Their systems, designed to be perfect, were failing. Their authority, built on belief in control and light, crumbled. The towers themselves seemed to shudder, responding to the clever manipulations of the smallest human they had overlooked. Iron stepped back into the shadows, breathing heavily but steady. The hidden pulse calmed, showing that the city itself had accepted the changes. The towers flickered one last time, then glowed with a softer light, no longer harsh, no longer controlling. The Order had lost its grip. Aris watched from above, feeling the collapse of power firsthand. Confusion, fear, and awe filled the enforcer. Commands were ignored, patrols scattered, and the city below was finally free from the tight control of the elders. Vale appeared, eyes wide with relief. "You did it," they whispered. "The small one has undone what many believed untouchable. The city remembers now, and the Order cannot stop it." Irin looked at the glowing towers, now quiet and calm, no longer oppressive. The pulse continued softly, guiding the remaining adjustments needed to stabilize the city in freedom. Luma smiled faintly, eyes bright with hope. Together, the small ones had achieved the impossible. Days later, Torenza rebuilt without the heavy glare of control. Humans and other beings alike moved freely, no longer hidden or dismissed. Stories began to spread of the small one who had outsmarted the Illuminated Order, who had relied on cleverness, patience, and understanding rather than force. Somewhere beyond the central tower, a faint pulse remained in the energy lines, a quiet reminder that Iren was still present, still observing, still guiding. The city remembered the past and looked forward to the future, free from fear and domination. The smallest human had proven that cleverness, patience, and courage could outshine power, that even the smallest mind could topple the tallest towers, and that the smallest one could become the greatest of all.